What's going on, everybody? Rachel West and Joey Knight here talking about that Bucs win over Arizona on Christmas, Joey. And it came down to the end. Once again, this team, week in and week out, loves to put its fans through a little bit of torture, I think. And they did so once again here. Fans were probably jumping out of their seats in frustration all throughout that game last night. But of course, they do ultimately come out of it with the win. So does the end justify the means here? Like, is all of that 45 minutes of pain worth it? 50 minutes of pain even for those last few minutes of game time there where they do pull it out in the end?
It justifies the means if they can win Sunday at Raymond James Stadium against the Panthers. As exasperating, flummoxing, frustrating, maddening as this team has been, they just need one more win to get into the playoffs, and that's what it's all about at this level. The broadcasters, Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth, brought this up a lot during the broadcast last night. They alluded to it, and I'm paraphrasing. This is not the same team that the Bucs have had in 2020 or 21. If you just off the top of my head, look who they've lost from this offense: Rob Gronkowski, Ali Marpet, Alex Kappa, Antonio Brown, Ryan Jensen. That's almost half the offense right there. So some of the things they do, or they're not going to be able to do some of the things they did. Now, could they be more creative in their play calling? Sure. You know, you'll talk about short yardage later, but we saw those short yardage issues manifest themselves again last night. But right now, they're making do with the guys they have. And the guys they have them one game away from a playoff berth and the second consecutive division title, which has never been done in this franchise's 47-year history. They can do that Sunday.
Yeah, it'll certainly probably all seem worth it if they are able to accomplish that come Sunday. And you mentioned the short yardage situation, struggles in those situations. I mean, can you identify a problem there? Is it, as you mentioned, they're without Jensen, Tristan Wirfs, limping through the end of that game there. Josh Wells now likely out for the season. The O-line struggles have been well documented here. And as you also kind of touched on, the predictability in the play calling, with particularly that one series last night where they needed 1 yard, 3 different downs and weren't able to get that. So is it a combination of all those things? What do you think the problem is there?
It's a combination, but this is an area where questioning the play calling is probably rational, probably understandable. We talked to Todd Bowles earlier today during his Zoom teleconference, and he said you should be able to get 1 yard on 3 plays. They had 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, and 4th and 1 at midfield, and we saw Leonard Fournette try 3 times and end up with -1 yards on those 3 carries. So you can question, why not a little play action there? Why not a toss sweep or something other than turning around and handing the ball off to Leonard Fournette? There are some issues with the protection up front, with the run blocking. Their offensive line is a mess right now. So that's part of it.
And not to keep being negative here, but we've put some blame on the coaching. We've put some blame on the O-line. I mean, I don't think it's not far off to say Tom Brady also deserves some of that blame. Is it just, Father Time finally catching up to him? Is he finally starting to show some signs of humanity here?
Well, you got to consider he's 45 years old and he just played his 15th NFL game of the season. Yeah. So, like they all say, everybody's banged up at this time of the year, late December. If you're an NFL player worth your salt, you're hurting. And I'm sure Tom's hurting a little bit. He's not going to tell us that. He never will. But you saw some of his downfield throws when they did try to go downfield last night. Some of them came up short. I recall a throw to Scotty Miller that came up short. We saw him try to get with Julio Jones in the end zone. Julio Jones was as wide open as he was going to be in that situation. They didn't connect. There's the question of why he hasn't been able to get on the same page with Mike Evans all year. That's been a long-ranging question, and part of that is he doesn't trust his protection enough to let those kind of plays develop with Mike Evans. But yeah, we're bordering on a new year, 2023. We're about to play our 16th game of the season, and Tom Brady probably is a little dinged up, and that probably explains why you've seen some of his misfires lately. He's gotten 7 interceptions in the last 4 games. That's quite a few for anybody.
Let me just throw it at you here. With all of this being said, all of these struggles, do you think they can turn this around and, have some success against Carolina at home coming up here?
I think it's going to be a really daunting challenge Sunday because of the offensive line. We don't know if Donovan Smith's going to be back from that foot injury. He didn't play last night. Tristan Wirfs clearly re-aggravated the tweaked ankle that kept him out for a month. Josh Wells obviously hurt his knee really bad. So you've got Brandon Walton, bless his heart, in his second year in the NFL, Seminole High alumnus, doing, just being thrown into really an unforgivable situation at left tackle. They just don't have a lot of bodies left. So as a result of that, you're probably going to see Tom Brady getting rid of the ball very quickly against the Panthers, more horizontal throws. And defensive coordinators have been seeing this for about the last month, or really most of the season. They know what's coming. They're going to really try to feast off those short little throws in space to a tailback or a little screen out to a slot receiver. They're going to be ready for it. I think it's going to be a really tall order against a Panthers team that's very hot. They've won 4 of their last 6. They've been running the ball very well. In those 4 victories they've won down the stretch, they've averaged 240 rushing yards in those 4 victories. They've rallied around their interim coach, Steve Wilks. They want him to get the job permanently. I think they're going to be coming fired up, and I think the Bucs are going to come in fired up, but banged up as well. It's going to be a tall order.
Yeah, I'm not sure at the start of the year anyone looked at this matchup and thought, yeah, this is the key date right here. But here we are, come the start of the new year. And if the Bucs win, then they win the division. And like we said, maybe all is forgiven. But we'll see how it goes. Make sure everyone, you are catching up with all of our Bucs coverage over on social media at Sports by Tampa Bay Times, as well as over at tampabay.com.